a lot of my clients for the Innovator Founder visa have commercialized their PhD thesis or their master's thesis. Now, there's some great benefits of this. If especially you're doing the PhD, just to zoom in. If you've completed your PhD, then you must have made a new contribution to knowledge, or you're in the process of doing that. So a new contribution to knowledge. Therefore, it's necessarily innovative. There's necessarily some innovation in there. Now, it can't always be commercialized. Maybe if you've found a new interpretation of French poetry, that perhaps it's difficult to commercialize that. But especially if you're in a STEM subject, then your PhD may well be something that could be commercialized. Now, an important point here is the selection of your idea for the PhD thesis. If you're looking to go into business, or indeed if you're looking to get a job, then really you want to be specializing in an area that's going to assist your career or your business in some way. Now, some of my clients have taken this to an extreme in that their whole PhD thesis is related to creating the product or the product architecture, which they then build, or they even build it as part of their PhD. That's not always the case, though. Sometimes you might have completed your PhD and maybe you don't realize its commercial significance. Maybe you've been going down an exclusively academic route. But that's the great thing about a PhD, and it makes for a very compelling innovator founder proposition. So a number of my clients have done this in different areas. That have then gone on to, for example, construction technology, or medical technology, or ed tech, and some other areas. But yeah, PhD thesis is a perfect opportunity to do that. Now, from a visa perspective, doing a PhD thesis, doing a PhD itself gives rise to opportunities in connection with visas. So if you're teaching alongside your PhD, often you'll be given the opportunity to do that. Then that teaching role may then lead to sponsorship. But the universities are going through, as a whole, they're going through a bit of a funding crisis at the moment. Not all of them, but some of them are. So maybe jobs are less available, but it totally depends on what you're going into. I must say that if you're doing your PhD and you have allied visa objectives and career objectives, then if you're going that far, you might as well aim to be number one, working with the best people in the field. So the UK is fortunate to have many of the best educational institutions in the world. But if you're going to be working with someone and dedicating 3 or 4 years of your life to this, then you don't want to be working with someone mediocre who's maybe in the middle somewhere academically. You want to be working with the best in the world. So I'd select your PhD and your choice of thesis very, very carefully. Now, the other aspect is master's, doing your master's thesis. Now, for a master's, you don't have to make a new contribution to knowledge, but nonetheless, it's a sustained piece of work, sometimes written over 6 months. And again, if you're looking to potentially transfer into the innovator visa, then maybe there's a link there, or at the very least a crossover. But preparing the business plan for the Innovator Founder visa, I would say, is a comparable exercise to completing a master's thesis. So if there's any overlap there, then you can get a head start. Of course, the key thing about the Innovator visas, I've said many times, is you should not use a business plan writer. You should not use ChatGPT. It's obvious. Anyone can see from a million miles away, looking at one of those business plan writer plans, or anything written by ChatGPT, it becomes instantly noticeable that that's the way you've done it. Whereas if you're writing a genuine thesis, and especially if you've been doing masters and studies, then it very quickly becomes apparent that this is something that's genuine. It's about you, and is properly thought through, rather than being, as I say, delegated or automatically produced on AI. That's a quick pathway to trouble. Now, in terms of bringing it through to the Innovator Founder business concept, one of the important aspects about this that I often talk about is validating your business idea. And this is another aspect of leveraging your position in a university. The best business collaborator you can have is a university. And many of the universities, most of them, have some link with the private sector and will have an incubator or accelerator, which you can apply to join. Now, I've helped people do this recently for the University of Cambridge and the University of Oxford. And Cambridge and Oxford, of course, are the elite. So if you can get into their accelerator programs, that's a wonderful starting point to then switching into the Innovator Founder route. Bear in mind, put your position put yourself in the position of the judges, right? Looking at this, of the readers. If you've been already endorsed by one of the leading incubators or accelerators before applying for endorsement and before applying to the Home Office, then that's one of the strongest forms of validation you can have, especially if the business concept you have is a difficult one to validate in the first place. Maybe something needs to be built first before you validate it. Well, getting accepted into one of the university accelerator programs is a great start. The other point with the university is that if you can collaborate with them in some way, where the university is drawn in and is very much a part of the vision for your business and making a success of it, then that's also a very strong thing. It might be slightly harder to achieve, but some of my clients have been delivering their businesses with the support of a university department of some kind, or collaboration with the university department. For this, of course, you need to be adding value to the university department. And again, it's a question of listening to what the particular department is looking for. But they're generally very keen on partnerships with the private sector, and that's sometimes your opportunity to find a way in. So I hope that's helpful. If you do want to touch base with me, I'm always happy to speak with you. I have a consultation service. You can get me on the link just below. Thanks and bye for now.